Hey guys, the first lesson that we're going to do is called The Evolution of the President's Power. So this is the material that you're going to need for Monday's class, so go ahead and get out your notes and actually flip them over. So your notes are on specifics. Today's lesson is just kind of general for you so we can get into the essential question that we're going to look at all week. Alright, once you have your notes out, flip them over like I said, and let's get started. So in the beginning of the month, when we got back from Christmas break, we already talked about the executive branch powers. We've talked about how the president is chief executive, he is chief diplomat, chief of state, commander-in-chief of the armed forces, chief legislator, among his job as figurehead of the United States. So what we're going to do today is talk about how the president's power has been interpreted over time. So these are some of the things that the Constitution explicitly states are jobs of the president. As we talked about before, there are implicit, explicit jobs, but we're going to look at the actual written constitutional jobs. So when a president has an action, when there's something that happens that he does, people interpret it different ways, right? So right now, there are three main interpretations that exist. The first one is the textualist and intentionalist interpretation, and then there's the pragmatist interpretation and the natural law interpretation. So over the years, people have defined and redefined these actions in these ways. And today I'm going to teach you what those are, and on Monday we're going to do an activity with them. So the first one, textualist and intentionalist interpretation, can be defined this way. I need you guys to copy this down so that you have it in front of you when we're doing our activity. But I'm going to try to explain it best I can. So a textualist or an intentionalist is going to look at the actions and the words of the framers. So what does it explicitly state in the Constitution? And what was the intent of the framers? That's the way that a president's actions should be done. They shouldn't be doing anything that is not written down in their realm of authority. So they're really skeptical. Intentionalists and textualists are very skeptical of the interpretations of the intent of the Constitution. So a lot of presidents in the past have tried to expand the power and say the Constitution was made at a time where this wasn't a problem, so I'm going to take it upon myself and expand the powers to include this as well. Well, intentionalists and textualists aren't really too happy about that because they think it should stay exactly the way it was written. Alright. Pragmatist interpretation is a little bit different. These are the people who say, well, because the Constitution was written so long ago and things have changed, we should be interpreting it and exercising authority as conditions change. So if something happens that we've never seen before, how would we handle it? Well, we're going to let the president have a little bit more power because it's kind of related to something that's explicitly stated, but there is no actual written law about it. So we're going to make one. That's kind of what a pragmatist is going to say. That expansion is okay because times change, things evolve. That's why they call it a living document, the Constitution. Alright, so that's a pragmatist. And a natural law interpretation. These people believe that, yeah, we have a written law, but whatever's necessary needs to be done. So the higher moral law should supersede inconsistent statutory law. Higher moral law is that key thing. So what do we think needs to be done in that time? And that's more important than what's written down. So it's something I don't really have a good example for you right now, except I guess in like times of you could do in times of terrorist attacks, and there wouldn't be something explicitly stated where the president has to act this way, but in order to save a bunch of people, he needs to. So that would be their natural law interpretation: preserve the rights of the people over the constraints of the Constitution. Alright? So it's super easy, just they're kind of long definitions, so just get them written down, because tomorrow or Monday, whenever you're watching this video, we are going to work in groups of 2. So you're going to have a partner, and you need to be thinking before you get to class about how much power should a president have. So we're going to use those definitions that I just gave you to talk about the scope of power that a president has and look at it over time. Because this week we're going to look at a couple presidents. We're going to look at Jefferson, Jackson, Roosevelt, and Lincoln. And we're going to talk about their interpretations of the president's power. So be thinking about it, and I will see you guys on Monday.